Hello everybody, Jake, your resident content cowboy here. Yeehaw! We have a brand new update in Pokemon Unite, and there's a lot of new stuff here, but one of the things I'm most excited about are the new items. I said most excited about are the new items, the Charging Charm and the Resonant Guard. Let me tell you everything you need to know about these items in this video, and I'll give you a lot of Pokemon that these work really well with. First, you pick these up in the Eos Emporium. You can buy them for either coins or I think it's tickets. I bought them for coins. I just have an insane amount of coins. It was like 2,000 coins or 1,000. Sorry, I forgot. The Charging Charm is a really interesting item that at first seems like it's set up for speedsters, and I think actually can work kind of well for them, but also is really, really good for auto attack Pokemon inside the game as well. Will it be able to replace something like the Muscle Band, Rapid Fire, Scarf, Scope Lens? That's going to be up to your own discretion. I've been liking it on a few Pokemon right here. Basically, you are charging up energy through movement and through your auto attack. So again, things like Cinderace and Dragapult, obviously, with its buffs. Things like this are able to charge this item up very quickly, and then this item does damage based off a percentage of your attack stat. The early numbers I got, shout out to Evocron for this by the way, is it's 40 plus 70% of your attack at level 20. So if you have a really high attack stat, something like a Leafeon or a Talonflame, well, you'll have a big old burst there. And then a lot of your auto attackers like Cinderace and things like that are going to have a pretty high attack stat, and this item is going to activate a lot, so you get lots of extra pops of damage. It also gives you plus 15 attack and 120 move speed, and I gotta say, I'm such a huge fan of move speed. This item is mainly going to find a lot of play again on those auto attackers and speedster type Pokemon. I think for the most part, this is going to be borderline with some of the other items that you might want to put on them. The fact of the matter is you only have 3 item slots in Pokemon Unite, and there are a lot of good ones for these Pokemon. Our next new item is the Resonant Guard. If you had your Resonant Guard today, well, I certainly hope you have. This gives you a shield and a nearby ally a shield when you deal damage to enemy Pokemon, and then it goes onto a cooldown. It gives you HP and base HP recovery that is active all the time. The base HP recovery, you'll also notice you find this in Leftovers, not Leftovers passive. It just Leftovers has kind of base HP recovery that it gives you. That's not really something that's going to change much at all about this item. The shield it provides and the big chunk of 450 HP at level 30, however, is pretty solid. It's hard to calculate numbers of shields inside the game, and you also don't have a tally for how much your shields did inside of a fight, which is why this item I think will seem a little underwhelming, even though it's not. This kind of reminds me of curse items in some way, where you don't know how much HP recovery you actually took away from your opponents, so it might not seem as good as an item that just straight up gives you more HP or recovers HP directly, like a Focus Band or something like that. I think the Resonant Guard is actually really cool the time I've spent playing with it. It gives you about 100 base HP shield plus 6% of your max HP when the item is at level 20. So that means this is really good for tanky Pokemon that have a lot of HP, that are often in lane with an ally. I found that this shield is proccing all the time. It's a nice chunky shield, and I've noticed your opponents are not really, at least especially right now, not really noticing how often this is coming up and how big of a shield it is that you and an ally is getting inside of some of these fights. And I think it could work really well in the laning phase for a ton of Pokemon. I think a lot of Pokemon that are going to use this well, again, really tanky defenders and supporter Pokemon are going to really love this item, especially if they're often dealing damage. You might not get as much value out of Blissey, even though Blissey has the highest HP pool inside the entire game just as a base. But you know, things like Mr. Mime, things like Umbreon are going to have massive HP pools, and you're going to take huge advantage of this. I can see Goodra taking huge advantage of an item like this as well. So here is just a quick look at Pokemon that I think could be good with these items. Obviously, we need to do more testing for a lot of this, and I'll just kind of give you a brief rundown of why I think the item can be pretty decent on some of these and why it might not run into some of these situations. We have the Resonant Guard tier, we have our Charging Charm tier, we have the B tier. How's it possible? Still got the B tier? All right. So the Resonant Guard, as you can see, lots of super tanky Pokemon that are probably going to be in lane with an ally that are going to deal damage to your opponent. And while that is happening, you're going to give a shield to yourself and an ally. I think all of these Pokemon are candidates for it. It doesn't mean that they're going to be able to fit it into sort of their 3-item kit, but a lot of these could be really, really solid choices. For the Charging Charm, I think your auto attackers are going to be some of the first possibilities for this item, but you're going to see a lot of speedsters, as well as, you know, Scyther essentially being a speedster, using this item possibly. Extra move speed, extra attack, and then just getting that extra burst of damage whenever you are dealing damage to opponents. Again, it's based off your attack stat. Speedsters have the highest attack stats inside the entire game, so you're gonna have lots of opportunities to do big bursts of damage with this. We're gonna need to test it more. You're gonna need to see if this fits your play style. There are a lot of situations where you'd say, I'm just not taking off my other items, they're too valuable. And there might be times where you go, you know what, Absol, I'm gonna run 2 crit items and a Charging Charm to get extra bursts of damage, and that's how I like to play Absol. I don't wanna stack an attack wave. Our B tier right here, or B tier, these are Pokemon that I don't really know how all-rounders are going to work with a lot of these, but you could see cases for certain Pokemon on this list to actually use these items in ways that you wouldn't expect. Like, let's talk about something like Tyranitar. Tyranitar has one of the highest HP pools in the entire game. So you could easily see situations where you might run a Resonant Guard on Tyranitar. You might run like a Focus Band, a Resonant Guard, and a Weakness Policy or something like that on T-Tar. So you're building up its attack a little bit, and then at the same time, this thing is just so tanky throughout its Sandstorm already, or you've got the big shield already that you're getting from Ancient Power, and then when you're in these big fights, you're, you know, getting another shield. Scissor feels like another Pokemon that really could take advantage of this. It's already recovering HP, it's already giving itself a shield, it's already brawling, usually in lane with a lot of allies, and then, you know, you have things like Urshifu, a Pokemon that recovers a ton of HP, brawls a lot. Zacian, on the other hand, I mean, maybe could use the Charging Charm. The interesting thing about Zacian is it has a pretty high HP stat, it has a pretty high attack stat, and at the same time, it only has 2 item slots. So I don't think you're going to switch something out. I mean, another opportunity for, you know, this setup right here is also Mewtwo X. Mewtwo X has a really high HP pool. It could be a really good call to throw something like a Resonant Guard on it. It has kind of a weird item setup already because its attack speed is fixed when it goes into its Mega form. But in general, I think these are all Pokemon that you can try the items out on. I would love to hear from you in the comments what you've been trying, what you've been enjoying. I really liked Dragapult and Greninja for the Charging Charm. I was messing around with Dodrio and Talonflame as well, and those felt very strong. For the Resonant Guard, I played it on LD, and that felt really, really good in lane. And then I know some of the defenders are looking really good on Resonant Guard. So let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you a good idea of what to do with these new items. And as always, it's brand new, so if there's any amazing discoveries, I'll try to let you guys know about them. And at the same time, please let me know if you found something that you think is absolutely amazing. I love you. See you all next time. We did it.